Uh, a finite quantity is usually furnished in the bid forms, and the contractor supplies the unit price. A variety of strategies is used in allocating overhead and profit to the unit prices, including the front loading. So, this figure is an example of a typical unit price breakdown contained in the bid form. The contractor normally would furnish the unit price and extension. These unit prices would be used as the schedule of values. Quantities of each item complete are measured and tabulated and then multiplied by the unit price to determine the amount due for each work activity. So in this case, the specific term extension is simply the unit price times the quantity. Okay. Now let's look at the project cash flow projections. Project cash flow projections relate the schedule of values uh, to the construction schedule, projecting the progress payments through the duration of the project. The cash flow projection approximates the progress payments for each payment period during the construction contract. So this projection is used by the owner to make financial arrangements, which creates available funds for the payments and optimizes investment opportunities. The contractor also can use the cash flow projection for anticipating revenue for future periods. So, because the cash flow projection is based on the construction schedule, the projections are estimates only, as many fluctuations exist in the construction schedule. Uh, so, several factors can affect the actual amount of progress payments at each period, producing a variance from the projection. Late or early delivery of materials, late or early completion of work activities, revision in sequencing of work activities, and the disproportionate completion of the work activities in their scheduled time period. Because the cash flow projection relates to the amounts that will be requested for each progress payment, some factors differ from those relating to the construction schedule. So the actual payments may not be equally distributed in the work activity. So let's see one example. Structural steel erection for the example project has a duration of 3 months, starting on June 1. During this 3 month period, there are three payment requests: July 1, August 1, and September 1. Labor and equipment are fairly consistent throughout the period, but material is not evenly distributed. So, a summary of the estimated costs for this work as follows. So, some cash flow projections will take the total $201,750 and divide it evenly into each of the three payment periods, or $67,250. Realistically, the material will not be received at the job site evenly throughout the project. So the chart that follows reflects a realistic projection of structural steel costs. So here you can see that there is quite a difference uh, which exists between the evenly distributed projection and the realistic delivery projection. So the next figure compares these two methods, which illustrate that by anticipating material delivery, the cash flow projection for that delivery, that activity will be a large payment request early year in the process. So in this case, as you can see that for the even distribution, the costs are increasing like this. But for the if we consider the material delivery, on the side. The costs of the material have to be incurred early, so the distribution will be like that. Okay, it will be not be which will not be evenly distributed. So clearly, in this case, the contractor will incur more costs earlier in the project. Okay, so there will be a difference between the evenly distributed and the actual distribution uh, of the material costs. Let's see one more example. Mobilization is completed between the start of the project and July 1. The percentage completion, the percent complete then for July 1 and the subsequent period is 100%. And 100% of the value of $42,922 is entered in the amount column for July 1. The general conditions are spread evenly in 10 periods with 10% earned during the first period. Most items in the general conditions values such as superintendent, temporary office rent, telephone charges and so on are fairly constant for each period. So the value of $56,183 is multiplied by 10% with the resulting amount of $5,618 for July 1 and for August 1. The total percentage earned is 20%, 10% for the first period and 10% for the second period. And the construction schedule shows the earthwork item spread between the June and July period because about half of the work will be done in June. 50% is entered in the percentage column. The August 1 period then shows 100% completion of the activity. And the site plumbing is shown on the construction schedule as being completed during the June and like that. So this example is about the their data in this figure. So this is a tabular computation of the cash flow for each month of the example project from July 1 through May 1 next year. With the actual project starting on June 5 and ending on April 12. The schedule of values on the left side of the of this spreadsheet are from the previous project. If you remember, the total cost was $1.429 million. The Gantt chart for the construction schedule is shown in this next figure. So yeah, this is the data up to 1st of May for the share project. And this is the Gantt chart for this project. So that means the project is finishing somewhere in next April. Okay. Okay, so the monthly accumulated total is then plotted in a line graph as shown in figure 17-12. The cash flow curve is normally a lazy S curve. Since this curve is related to specific amounts at the payment dates, the curve is not a smooth line but rather is segmented at payment dates. A front-loaded schedule values will have a steeper initial section on the cash flow curve than a schedule of values, which with an evenly distributed overhead. So this figure 17-13 shows a comparison of the cash flow charts for the two different schedules of values methods described in this topic today. So the dark line is the front-loaded and the dotted line is the evenly distributed. Okay, so next look at the progress payment procedure. So the each owner will have a specific progress payment requirement. Many will use the forms and procedures recommended by the AIA document. So most public agencies have specific procedures. required by the law for the municipality, state, of, or federal agency. So we can refer to these figures. So for example, this figure is the AIA document G702, and the next one is the G703. So first one is the application and certificate of for payment, and it has five major sections. So journal information, for example, the contract information, contractor, architect, owner, payment number, and so on. It also has the information about the contract status, change orders to date, change orders during this period, and a net contract change for change orders. Similarly, the information is about the payment computation, contractors certifications, and architects certifications. So this was the application and certificate for payment, and this is the G703 item for the as the continuation sheet, which is used for the previous chart, and this is the uh, so this is the also a continuation sheet, but this illustrates the process of completing the previous two forms. Okay, so for example, the first form for example, this form is the detail sheet for the payment. The data used in this payment request was derived from the cash flow projection, and the amounts in each cash flow projection and the payment request rarely coincide exactly. However, these data are approximate for the examples. And next is this one is for this is the computation for the progress payments on the application and certification for payments. So contract sum to date is the contract amount, and the same amount from the total of the column C in the previous figure. So the retainage breakdown takes retainage separately on work completed and material stored on site, and etc. So the retainage is then deducted from the amount earned to determine the total amount due the contractor to date. So previous payments then are deducted from the amount due the contractor to determine the amount due for the current payment period. Next, you have figure 17-18, 17-19, and 17-20. These figures illustrate a later progress payment, and then the application number, etc. So, for example, in this figure, more items are active in this figure. The three change orders items have been added as the three change orders, and uh, and the total of this column C scheduled value reflects the current current contract price. Okay, so the contract price will increase as a result of the change orders. And then this figure 17-19 is the illustrates the change order summary found on this previous form, and the application and certification for payments, and change order previously approved the amount to an additional $16,300. Okay, so so change orders 2 and 3 are added to the contract amount for this application for payment as they were approved during the payment period. And the next figure is this one. It is the payment computation for the payment 4. So it